I just watched a guy jack off into a jar of peanut butter on Instagram Reels. I was thinking the whole time as well, he's just doing it into like a bottle of taco sauce. But then I saw the end, I'd seen Jif in the hole in the peanut butter. I was like, it was peanut butter. It's just a real one of the boys sent. And anyways, we're gonna be talking about Cartoon Cat and Pennywise. Now, a lot more people I feel like would know Pennywise more than Cartoon Cat. And if you thought Pennywise was an OP shape shifting cosmic force that came from a different dimension or just OP, there's another. He has like another contestant. He has another challenger who would maybe even be more OP than Pennywise. I'd like to imagine. I'd like to imagine and argue. And also, I just noticed in my camera, I have both two of the fuckers right beside each other. So yeah, they're like neighbors. And pretty much, I'm gonna be doing it. I pretty much already tried to record this video on this. I also had a list written down on my phone, but for some reason, I never looked at the list once. I was pretending as if I didn't have a list in the first place. I kept on repeating kind of the same shit, kind of like saying random stuff. It's getting a little bit redundant. There were parts where I was just pausing, kind of wondering what am I on about, what am I like saying. So I'm just gonna go by the list I have here. It's not that much, but it's like only 5 things that they're like, both similar in, but like kind of not 100% similar in. They're not like exact clones, obviously. They have like super similar powers, but their powers like kind of differ a little bit from each other, but they're still pretty, similar. So anyways, the first one I'm gonna, go over is they both hide their true forms. Okay, so I said powers, I just mean them in general. They both hide their true forms. So Pennywise, when he's a clown, that's not like actually who he is. He's not your average clown that shows up at the kid's birthday party, or just like some homeless clown that just lost his gaff due to gambling and he just hides now in the sewers and just smells like shit the whole time. No, he stays in the sewers because he thinks, kids will be more lured to him if he's Pennywise, the dancing clown in the sewers. That's just kind of where he hangs out. That's basically like his home. He doesn't have to stay in there, but that's like pretty much the main area he stays at, in the sewers. So pretty much he does live in the sewers, but he doesn't have to if he didn't want to. Also, it's an interesting thing about Pennywise as well, which wasn't really shown in the movies, and I do think it's kind of bullshit. He's like stuck in Derry. He's like if he tries to go out to Derry, he can't. It's like he's super glued in the town. He's bound to it, and he can't leave because of like these giant black magical ancient rocks that were placed by the ancient Indians. And basically they make this barrier that doesn't let him leave Derry. So the Derry residents get fucked, my full-time job. That's gonna be the least of your worries. You have to deal with some like outer dimensional clown that's like kidnapping your children. Oh, little Timmy's gone outside to play with his friends. Yeah, little Timmy's playing with a ancient demonic clown that will eat his soul. Tough luck. Maybe you shouldn't have had kids. Like everyone else outside of Derry, they're fine. But everyone inside Derry, and they can't leave as well. That's one thing I forgot to mention. Pennywise, like, he puts a spell upon everyone in there, which makes them forget that, kids go missing. Kids going missing is as normal as, like, your dog taking a shit while you're walking him. That's what, like, the boys treat kids going missing, like, in Derry. And then with Cartoon Cat, he's also OP, but he's not bound to, like, he's not bound to like a single location. He can like stay. He chooses to stay in malls. Malls would be like his kind of main area where he'd hang around with, and which would be like I guess perfect for like jumping urban explorers and people that just want to explore abandoned buildings in general. But I guess Pennywise kind of stays around more popular areas. It's just in the sewers. But Cartoon Cat can show up wherever the fuck he wants. Another thing actually about them is that they're both extra dimensional. They both came from a different dimension. So Pennywise, he came from the microwave universe, and then Cartoon Cat, he came from like the void. He came from like a black hole or some shit. He came from like a dimension that's completely devoid of any light. I assume it's called the void. It's just complete darkness. That's where him and Sirenhead actually came from. So yeah, the way they arrived though is different, because like Pennywise, he arrived on like a big ass space rock that just landed on Earth, and then it just made him its home. Cartoon Cat, he sort of like he arrived from the void, but the way he enters our world is basically he like is able to use old technology as like gateway. So like cassettes, VHS players, probably even like your phone or a CD player, or just analog shit in general. I think he's able to go through electronic stuff as well. Actually, that's one thing I did not look up. I should have looked up about him. real quick. So yeah, pretty much, Cartoon Cat, he's able to manifest through any, device he wants to. He can manifest through a rotary phone, he can manifest through intercom speakers, he can manifest through, like, a camera, he can manifest through anything that's, like, a device, pretty much. So, with Pennywise, he can also do that. Because there's a scene in 2017 movie where they're trying to find out the map of this sewer tunnel because they're gonna put an end to this. They're putting their foot down. They're gonna show it to the man. They're gonna put their fingers up his asshole and kill him like that. And then the Pennywise, he just appears through projectors like, wait, hang on, you aren't gonna do anything. I'm just gonna eat you real quick. He basically just comes out and crawls after him, to scare him shitless for a bit, and then he just leaves. And then Cartoon Cat, yeah, he can just show up and just, like, kill you. He can manifest through devices as well. Although with Pennywise as well, he doesn't, like, he can he seems to be able to, like, teleport as well. He's able to teleport into, like, your home. He's able to show up into your house with, like, Billy following his brother down because he can't accept he's dead. Just accept your brother is just in the dirt, in the ground. Your brother's not missing, May, alright? He's not playing, he hasn't found, like, a new hangout spot in the sewers with the boys. It's not like he's on a sleepover with Pennywise and playing Xbox over there. He's dead. He got munched on. Although there is a theory, actually, and that's because of this scene in the 2017 movie. When Bill follows Georgie, he follows him down into the basement, and then he finds Pennywise just there chilling, playing patty cake with Georgie, and then Pennywise and Georgie basically start saying, "You would float too!" Like, they're gonna fill him up with helium and he's just gonna float up into the cosmos. Or like when, Squidward's house floated up into the sky like in SpongeBob. And there's a theory actually suggesting that Pennywise, Georgie's actually alive. Pennywise just kind of uses him as a vessel, something as like a sock puppet or something. He has like his hand up his ass. Speaking of hand up his ass, there's a scene where Bill had his hand up his ass in chapter 2. And there's a theory where, I don't know why, that's just a random scene that came into mind. And there's a theory that he basically just uses Bill to, like, kind of as a pawn, as like a chess piece, pretty much as a toy, to, like, scare Bill or to, like, kind of lure him in as well. Which I think is a pretty interesting theory. Although I'd like to imagine, I don't know, because I was about to say that Georgie's dead, but it would make no sense for Pennywise to be, like, in two places at once, because he's there with Georgie, and if Pennywise was Georgie and himself at the same time, that would mean he's able to clone himself, but we haven't seen him do that in, like, any other movie or anything. And, like, with the whole thing with him coming through devices, we have seen him do that on multiple times. Like in Welcome to Derry, he's able to, talk to the black kid. I forgot his name, Sam Steven or some shit. He's able to talk to him through the phone. With him cloning though, I haven't really seen him doing that much, except for like in an episode in Welcome to Derry when they went to the graveyard and a bunch of zombies were after them. Although I think that was hallucinations as well, because Pennywise is also able to do that. So yeah, I feel like that theory could be plausible, because he's never really cited as like having, proper cloning abilities. Cartoon Cat, I heard he can clone as well. Although there's like no images of him where he's just cloning himself, whereas like multiple people, multiple Cartoon Cats at once. Like there is images though of like different cartoon creatures, but Cartoon Cat can also shapeshift into like pretty much anything he desires. Any SpongeBob character, yeah, he could. But he could also manifest into like any character he wants. Really, he could just shred you apart like with like Sonic the Hedgehog. Or he could just, kill you like SpongeBob. He can pretty much be any character. Pennywise can as well. He could shapeshift into any creature as well. But it also depends. So if he wants to, get to you and you're in a small area, he's gonna have to shapeshift into something small. And that's like actually some of the Losers Club try to do. They came up with the idea. It's like, oh yeah, if Pennywise wants to get us into like a cave, he has to shapeshift into a little hamster, and then we just stomp his ass. Cartoon Cat can like size shift. He can grow taller. He can stretch his arms and shit. He can transform to a completely different form. He could have like eyes and mouths everywhere. He's super malleable. Apparently he tastes like static. That's just a really random ass like quotation mark or whatever, or just random thing to say. Also, what does static even taste like? It just like the closest thing I'd like to imagine to, or imagine to its tasting is like, I don't know, a wire or something, or what like wires taste like when you're getting electrocuted or whatever. So it's like, I guess that proves as well that Cartoon Cat He's like from old digital media as well. He's like some entity that's from a different like kind of he's from like the screens and shit. He's not like from this world. But yeah, they can both shapeshift into different creatures and shit. Pennywise can like read your mind. He can shapeshift into your deepest fear. He feeds off of fear. He needs that fear. So basically, without fear, he would starve, and he needs that shit to basically survive. That's like getting that's like humans eating food. And the way he does it, like both of them actually, they both toy with their victims. But Cartoon Cat, he doesn't need fear. It's kind of different for Cartoon Cat. He will toy with his victims however he feels like. He will treat playing with his victims like he's just playing tag or whatever, like he's playing with a primary school friend. But Pennywise, he will also treat it like that. But in the long run, he's actually gonna need it because he's gonna eat them, and if he wants to eat them, he doesn't want them tasting like stale old meat. He wants them tasting like he just went to a 5-star restaurant, and that's basically what fear does to his victims. When he scares you, and if he kills you while you're shitting bricks, you will taste so much more better to him rather than if you're just like looks maxing all over him, or you're just incapable of feeling fear. The fear part in your brain was just non-existent or turned off. You'll taste like shit, and you'll probably want to spit you back out, just like the Lazarus Pit did to Boba Fett in Star Wars. But with Cartoon Cat, he'll just kill you because he feels like there's an image as well of him just like smiling as well while eating someone that's like halfway into his mouth. So yeah, he definitely does seem to have a lot more fun with his food. Next one actually, I already mentioned this actually. They both hide in a location. They feed off of belief. Actually, with Cartoon Cat, I did hear though. If you don't believe in him as much or fear in him as much, he is still OP as shit. It's not like you managed to confiscate his powers and put them in the office. He still has his powers, but if you don't believe in him as much or don't fear him as much, he won't that will sever his or weaken his connection to the real world, and he'll be back in the digital world. It's kind of confusing on how it's work, but it's bad to think about him because then you're manifesting him and shit. So if you just don't believe him, he's basically powered by belief. If you don't believe him, he'll cease to exist. I don't know. It's kind of weird how belief works with Cartoon Cat. It's a bit confusing, but with Pennywise. If you don't believe in him, but Pennywise is so much more simpler. It's also proven in the movie, especially the shitty ass ending of It Chapter 2, where they basically just make fun of him and just have insult him pretty much. If you just stop being scared of Pennywise and believe in yourself that you can defeat Pennywise, if I pick up this rock and I throw it at Pennywise, it's gonna be like a live grenade and it's gonna blow into pieces. That belief will work. But they're both also pretty durable, and I'm not sure. They seem to both be able to regenerate as well because Cartoon Cat and Nuke apparently just doesn't stop, bro. He's a cartoon character. I was about to say a character. A farting character put together. He's a cartoon character. He has the Toon Force. Cartoon characters with the Toon Force. Well, any cartoon character has the Toon Force. They're able to come back from absolutely nothing, bro. You could put them into dust. You could completely erase their you could completely erase them from existence. Hell, if you even if you just Thanos snap a cartoon character, they would still manage, spawning out of thin air, the universe just gave birth to them. They'll come back from anything. It's really notable. Well, it's not notable with the mask. I was gonna say notable with the mask, but it's gonna bring up a death battle between him and Deadpool, where Deadpool literally had this continuum gen, and he rewrote history to make Mask non-existent, and Mask still came back from it. Yeah, that's what Cartoon Cat's able to do. So it's so much more harder to put him down. And then Pennywise, he seems to be able to regenerate as well. Seems to be really durable to damage as well. He seems to be able to take a lot because at the end of the first one, Pennywise's head, he was opened up like a flower or some shit, and he got pulled into the pipe. And then in chapter 2, he seemed to be all better. He seemed to all he needed is to rest, and he was able to regenerate. So yeah, they're both pretty powerful. They're both able to regenerate. I'm not sure. I haven't heard of a Cartoon Cat being able to get into your mind or being able to read your mind. I wouldn't be surprised if he'd done that because he seems to be able to do pretty much anything. And you also have to act like a cartoon character to get rid of Cartoon Cat, which is something interesting as well, because he's a cartoon character. You act like a cartoon character, and if you do shit like shove a dynamite up his hole or drop an anvil on him or paint a tunnel and trick him like that, you could beat him like that. But basically, just playing his own games against him, which it seems to make sense if you just act like a cartoon character and just kind of trick him like that. But at the same time, he's like super OP and shit. And, like, how are you gonna have the time to where the fuck am I gonna find a dynamite? Where am I gonna find like an anvil? Also, how am I gonna have the time to paint a big ass tunnel or door to trick Cartoon Cat if he can just kill me? Like, he'll toy with me. He'll be constantly chasing me. So I feel like I won't have any time to paint anything, do any artworks for like Pennywise or for Cartoon Cat. But with Pennywise, if you just like stop being scared of him, stop believing him, it pretty much just weakens him and he just becomes useless against you. You can defeat him like that. I don't know. With Pennywise is also weird because there's like this thing with the maturing turtle god, and there's this thing with the ritual chud, which completely fucking backfired. It didn't work. It ended up being a fraud. But in the first movie, it seemed to work when they were believing in themselves that could kill Pennywise. They're actually starting to do some damage to Pennywise. I also somehow forgot to mention this when I was recording the video. I was editing the video there, and I realized, hang on, I didn't talk about this, important part that like they're both really similar in, although a little bit different. So they both hide behind like a different form. Well, a different form. I mentioned that in the first recording, but I didn't mention the second one for some reason. It must have just slipped my mind or whatever. But anyways, with Cartoon Cat, there's an image of him in a school hallway, and he looks like he's on all fours, and he looks like he's sniffing for someone, or he's just getting bummed in the back behind the hallway. Who knows? And his mouth, the way his face looks is like his eyes are googly eyed. They're like facing off in different directions, and his mouth is open up and shit. And it's like another form is trying to like break through, and it's like the Cartoon Cat, the face that we usually see. It's like a mask on like hiding what truly is Cartoon Cat, and you can only really see like a fraction of his true form. I think it is anyway. That's like the only image that shows him with his true form. It's like this like big ass like kind of long ass jaw that looks like a greater than sign. It's like all fleshy and shit. It reminds me of like the xenomorph, the way its mouth is shaped, and it's just like smiling, But there's no images of a Cartoon Cat with his actual true form fully visible to us. And his form is supposed to be like this grotesque, this disgusting looking fleshy like being, and we just haven't seen it yet. So it could be incomprehensible to us, or maybe Trevor Henderson will just be making more artwork. And then with Pennywise, his true form is the Deadlights. The Deadlights, pretty much, if you look into them, you'll go insane, you'll go mental, your soul will be eaten. And that would be Pennywise's true form. You look into him, you go insane because you can't comprehend them, like demonic light bulbs, pretty much. Now, if both of these guys ended up being a hypothetical 1v1, I'm putting all my money, I'm putting my entire like house on a Cartoon Cat. I feel like Cartoon Cat would win because Cartoon Cat's like they both seem to have limitless power, except especially Pennywise in the novel version. I heard he's pretty insanely powerful now. He could kill you with the thought. Also, he has the Deadlights. He could just like spread open his face and just like blind you with his super outer dimensional light bulbs and basically nick your soul, make you go insane, or kill you. I was about to say drive you insane, but yeah, he can make you go insane. That's like it seems to be the most powerful ability, but it only seems to work on like characters that have a conscience. Cartoon Cat, he doesn't really seem to have that much of a conscience. He's like some unknown eldritch abomination, and I'd like to imagine the Deadlights do not work on Cartoon Cat. Like you just look at them and it wouldn't do anything. If Pennywise did try to get into Cartoon Cat's mind, he'd be like, I'd like to imagine he'd be like in a void or some shit. He'd just be like, there'd be completely nothing there. He wouldn't find anything to work with at all. So he wouldn't be able to transform into anything that would scare Cartoon Cat, because Cartoon Cat, he doesn't really seem to feel fear. Although I was watching an infographic show, and if you use like cartoon logic, like play a dog, that could scare him. But that's like in the cartoon logic, it's like there'd be a running joke. It'd have to play like twice and then again, and then with a little twist. And if you keep doing it, it wouldn't work. But Pennywise probably wouldn't be able to use cartoon logic on Cartoon Cat. He does seem to have limited tune force, but I don't think he would. And also, Pennywise is able to make you hallucinate. I'm not sure if that would really matter to Cartoon Cat, because I'm pretty sure he's able to do the same thing. So like pretty much anything that Pennywise can do, Cartoon Cat can do better, except for the mental shit. That's the only thing. So yeah, Cartoon Cat's just completely bending Pennywise over and just spanking him with the belt. He's beating him in a fight, and yeah, I just wanted to talk about these two characters because I think they're both pretty similar and they're both pretty cool, and they're both pretty cool horror characters. They're both pretty scary and they're both pretty interesting, especially Cartoon Cat. I may look into more Trevor Henderson creatures. I haven't looked into Trevor Henderson in a pretty long time. I do remember fucking with him a lot, and I also want to make more videos about Trevor Henderson. Like the next video I might make, I actually do have a video in mind to make about like some Trevor Henderson entities. I feel like it would be an interesting video. But anyways, yeah, second time recording this video. Let's hope looking back and editing I didn't really fuck up that much. But yeah, see you later.